Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am so happy you all are here, and today is, I believe, day 4. I can't remember, I'm losing the days, so I probably won't even mention the days anymore. But this is another chapter of stewardship meals, and today I am going to be having leftovers from yesterday with the vegan ceviche hearts of palm tostadas. But I wanted to talk about stewardship and how God mentions stewardship in the Bible, and about how it talks about, gathering up the leftovers. So as you know, waste and stewardship, waste and stewardship don't go together, right? Because eating leftovers may seem small, but choosing not to waste food, money, or resources is part of being responsible with what we've been given, right? So in John 6 and 12, I have 2 Bibles here, and I want to talk to you about what he says about being good stewards and not wasting leftovers. So in John 6 and 12, and I'm reading from a King James Version, it says, 6 and 12, it says, so when they were filled, he said to his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain so that nothing is lost. And so we're going to cross-reference this from the Tony Evans Commentary Bible. And it says in John 6 and 12, it says, when everyone was full, Jesus had the disciples collect the leftovers, which filled 12 baskets. That's 1 doggy bag per disciple, each a reminder of God's supernatural provisions for each disciple. So while we are on this stewardship challenge, I know I've heard over time, a lot of people will be like, I don't like leftovers. I don't like leftovers. I'm not eating leftovers. But there's nothing wrong with eating leftovers, because that means you're being a good steward over your money. You're not going out spending money because you don't want a leftover or you're tired of eating leftovers, right? So the fact that God was telling them to gather up the remaining of those fragments meant that he didn't feel like they should be wasteful. They needed to take the fragments so that they would have the more for later. And I think that's something that we usually miss when being good stewards, because, God has given us a little. So if he gives us a little and he can trust us with a little, that means whenever you're asking for more, he can trust you with a lot, right? So you can't expect to not be good stewards over a little of what you have and then expect God to give you more, because that's just not how it works. With that, I'm saying you don't want to constantly consume or buy more things when you know you already have at home. There's so many people who go without food and water every day because they don't have the resources, or there's not places or things available to give them what they need. I don't know if you've noticed here in my challenge or on my channel, when I am maybe consuming a meal, I always pray and I ask God and I include, and in my mind, I have a vision in my head that I can see homeless people on the street because there's a very large homeless population in the city that I live in. And I think about people who are less fortunate where they don't have food and they don't have water, and us that do have, we're plentiful, right? Of having food and clean water and everything. And we sometimes take that for granted. Like, we're going to always have food, we're going to always have water, and we can be wasteful, meaning like we'll be like, well, I don't want leftovers, I'm just going to go out and eat tonight. And I feel like this is a lesson for myself and for others that may be watching, just being good stewards over what we have now, so that when we are asking God for more in our lives, that He knows that when we were faithful over a little, He can trust us to be faithful over a lot. So, with that being said, that is going to conclude this chapter of stewardship meals. I am going to go ahead and eat my leftovers because I don't want my tostadas to get soggy. And then I will see you all in the next stewardship meal video. I will say, please like, comment, subscribe. Please leave comments, and let's chat about being good stewards over the little and what we have. And if faith is not something you're big on, or you don't trust God for things, please be mindful and don't leave comments that may not be suitable. Like, we don't need the opinion. So I am being a good steward, and I am happy about it. And I am creating some, I've never made this meal before. I have never made this meal before since yesterday. Like, I just got creative in what I had in my house. Sometimes it's all about being creative. And like I say, just using what you have. So with that, sorry, I can ramble sometimes just because like I have a passion for being faithful. I have a passion for people that are less fortunate. Like, I'm always praying. Like, my heart is always thinking about those that are less fortunate. And I'm very grateful for the life that God has lent me in this lifetime. So with that being said, I will see you in the next stewardship meal challenge video. You all have a blessed evening and a blessed day tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.